Yeah, I know. I did that, and then well, no, I just turned it off and turned it back on again, and now it works. Really? Oh, that's all I had to do? Oh, sorry. Um, Bob Coppedge here, CEO of Simplex-IT, Crotch the Old Geek, and rather embarrassed. We just did, and this is the recording of it, we just did our first webinar from the Work From Home series about training, and literally about 10 seconds into it, my system took a dump. Oh, Windows Insider Preview, yay! And it came right back up. It took about, a minute or so, but it totally threw everything off. So we went ahead and did the webinar, and I think everything went reasonably well. But it's going to seem like it's a bit of an odd cut when it starts because I had people from Simplex IT online telling jokes for a while, and I don't wish that on anybody. So here we go. In process.
Do you know how to bring up the chat?
I don't want to know.
Hi, Bob.
Oh, that's terrific.
He's like Mighty Mouse. Here he comes to save the day.
Yeah. So
to save us all from John's jokes.
Welcome to our webinar topic, which is reasons why not to run Windows beta software on a machine. So I apologize tremendously for this, and hopefully we're going to get started in a second. Let me bring up one more time. We're going to be recording this message. Okay, and it looks like we're recording now, famous last words. And get started. So here's the thing that we're trying to do is, quite honestly, it's one of those, and I put a video up recently about this as well, and we're getting inundated by well-meaning, how can we help, all of that kind of fun stuff, and a lot of it is just marketing messages. Some of it is just we're all in this together, yay team. There's also, quite honestly, a fair amount of malware and bad guys going out there. But one of the questions that we had was, well, our best thing to do is to share knowledge and to help people through that. That's why we did last week. We did a webinar on companies who need to put together a work from home strategy pretty quickly. And we decided, because we got a lot of good feedback from that, well, why stop there? And so what we've done is we have put together a series of webinars that hopefully will go smoother than this one, but we're going to do them basically every Tuesday and Thursday. So we're essentially going to be doing 2 of these a week, and they're going to go from instead of 2:10. And so this one will go a few minutes over. I apologize for that, but they're going to go from 2 to 2:30 Tuesday and Thursday. Patty, do you see my screen?
Yep, sure can.
Okay, cool. So that has all our contact information. The site that you use to connect to, the link that you use to connect to this meeting will work for every one of these meetings, as will the conference number. In addition, we'll be posting these up on YouTube within a couple of days afterwards, and we will also be emailing you the actual PDF, the presentation itself afterwards, if you RSVP for our site. So some caveats for today. Number one, my laptop may not work. No. I'm not going to get into healthcare issues or government strategies or anything along those lines. Some may leak out, so to speak, but those are just my opinions, all that. And we're really also looking for, all of our solutions are going to be aimed at the small, medium businesses, all the stuff that we're going to be talking about, especially for organizations that haven't really had time to put together a grand strategy. So these are going to be really trying to, as much as we can, focus on here's what you could do. And we're also looking for, not over the top training programs that we've got. Also, if you've ever heard me speak, I have a weird sense of humor. I will probably say some things that could be taken as inappropriate. I apologize ahead of time, but if you know me and you've heard me, no surprise. As well as, finally, I am a condescending, opinionated, arrogant geek. I take it as well as I dish it out. So please, 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 feel free to put stuff in the chat. Okay, moving forward. So here's our topics. I would love to hear, and my email is going to be throughout this at bob@simplex-it.com. We would love to hear other topics that you would like to see or hear. And if any of these you would like to hear or see more at a higher priority sooner rather than later, let us know. Give us feedback. We're literally throwing stuff up on the wall and see what sticks. So, but these are the topics that we've got so far. Should the situation go beyond April 21st and we're still getting a good feedback on this, please let us know. Let us know additional topics. That said, we're going to do this because we get feedback. We're not going to do this just because we think it's fun. So please, 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 if you like this, if there's tweaks, if there's whatever, give us feedback because that's really, we're not selling anything. So the only way we keep doing this is if people are saying, yes, our lives are made a little bit better. We got takeaways. The takeaways are essentially of two types, brain and brawn. The brain, something to think about, something for you to basically go, okay, let me consider the pluses or minuses of this before we move forward with it. And then brawn, these are action items, things that you actually should or should potentially actually do. Okay. Our agenda. First, reboot. Second, we're going to review the topic. We're then going to talk about it from a business perspective. And we're going to talk about training from a productivity standpoint, which would be essentially for the non-geek. This would be how to use your computer more effectively. It may be on specific products or tools like Excel or Word. It may be time management. It could be how to prioritize your workday. It could be any of those sort of things. But essentially, it's for making most employees more productive, however you define it. Then the technical training, that's for the geeks. We're going to talk about, there's a lot of resources out there that are available for the person who wants to become a developer, who wants to, who's an IT professional, wants to become more productive, so on and so forth. And then finally, and this is the one I'm actually having the most fun with, what's the personal training? What's stuff that you've always wanted to know, but you haven't had the time? So that's where we're going to go. So our topic for today is training, learning, the combination of the two. Now, here's the thing. Say what you will about what's going on, and there are exceptions to this. You know, my wife's a nurse, and I got two daughters who are nurses, and their world is not easy. You know, there's a lot more work, but a lot of us are finding ourselves with a lot more time on our hands, if you will, whether it be because after work hours we're stuck at home, or we can't even go into work, or our work is actually shut down. And it's one of those things where I was raised on the concept of time is money. And I remember back in the early 80s, I heard a speaker, because I'm old, in case you didn't know, I heard a speaker from Digital Equipment Corporation, actually, who essentially said, you know, it's changing, so now money is time, meaning time is the most valuable resource we have. And that's actually truer now more than ever before. And here's the thing. For once, we're being given more time on our hands. Absolutely not necessarily the way we want this to happen, but we've got time to kill. All right. And that hasn't been for a while. So what do you do with that time? And my point to you is that learn, whether it be an employer looking to train employees or employees looking to improve their own skill sets or whatever, or ourselves looking to learn. There's just so much out there to learn. It's time to do that. So whether it be investing in your employees or investing in yourself or whatever, this is unique. I don't know if this will ever come up again, and I really hope it doesn't. At least not like this. Okay? So seriously, learning, this is really an unusual situation. And when we're talking about this topic, it really struck me how unusual this is. And if you've heard me talk about this triangle before. This is the eternal triangle for all projects. And it essentially gets, you've got time, you've got money, and you've got the quality or features or whatever aspect. And anytime you make any impact on one of those sides of the triangle, you affect or impact the other. If you spend more time on something, then you're going to get more quality, but the cost is going to go up. If you want to cut down the cost, it's going to be lower quality, so on and so forth. This is unusual because the time aspect of it has been changed in terms of the cost isn't as high because we've got more time than we had before. So again, this is unusual. So now we're going to talk about our takeaways here. First of all, one of the things, if you are looking at this from an employee-employer standpoint, one of the key things you have to keep in mind is, are these people still your employees? And this is as much of a legal and an HR issue as anything else, but in some cases, you're actually laying your employees off, which means if you then turn around and tell them to do stuff, you're kind of treating them as if they're employees. So be very careful about this if you're talking to your employees and you want to encourage them to learn skills they can use on the job, either now or later. Okay. Second thing is, set up realistic training goals. What is the goal for you to learn? You're not going to spend, and this is whether you're talking about employees or you're talking about yourself, you're not going to spend 40 hours a week training or learning. Or maybe you will, whatever, but be realistic and be flexible in terms of what's possible. You're going to kind of sacrifice that rigidity in terms of what are your goals and how are you going to do it and all that. But that's okay because you're still going to get value out of it. Again, whether you're an individual or you're an employer. And then make this fun. Learning should be something that's enjoyable. Now not all of us have this, the love of learning or the like, but this is the thing. Learn something cool. Learn something that you actually want to, that's going to make your life better, whether it's professional or personal or whatever, and go for it. This is not a time. We need less stress in our lives. We don't need more. So take advantage of the time. Okay, now we're going to go over to productivity training. And there's several types of productivity training that's available now. First of all, you've got the product specific. We're going to learn about this particular tool, this particular product. You've also got vendor specific, which is more on this vendor is particular giving tools or training tools or whatever. And then you've got personal development, unique specific uses, all of that kind of fun stuff. So what kind of options do we have? One is that Office 365 actually has a set of free tools aimed at the end user in terms of learning how to use a lot of the productivity tools. And this includes Teams, this includes Office, this includes the Office Online, the web tools, all of that kind of fun stuff. If you go to that site there, the supportoffice.com, you don't have to be logged into Office 365's portal in order to see this stuff. So, and this is available to all users. You don't have to be a global administrator or anything along those lines. So right there's some free training as far as Office goes. Now, the second is, these losers. That's us, simplex-it.com/training. One of the things that we have is we have a free, all you have to do is put in your name and your contact information. No, we won't bug you. And you will get access to a free online course for Windows 10. So for those of you who are trying to figure out some tips and tricks and things to do for Windows 10, you can go ahead and log in there. And how do we do that? We partner with a company called Bigger Brains. And Bigger Brains is the next company. And getbiggerbrains.com, they've actually made some of their Teams products, training products free. If you go there, you'll see a link for that. As well as they've got about 140 online courses that include non-technical like time management, communication skills, leadership skills. I hate to say this, but to give an idea of the diversity, they actually have an online course on how to handle an active shooter in the workforce. And then finally, CompTIA. CompTIA is a nonprofit organization and they're also non-vendor specific, dealing with IT tools and resources and all that kind of fun stuff. And it's free membership. There's also a paid membership, but the free one's what we're talking about here. And they also have a lot of security overview and Internet of Things overview, fundamentals of development, all of that kind of fun stuff. All of that is there. So if you are looking, if you're a non-technical, meaning you're not a developer, you're not a network administrator or anything along those lines, all of those resources are available to you. And we'll talk actually about getting an offer about getting a Bigger Brain subscription, which will give you access to about 140 classes for a month, about getting that for free. So we'll give you an example on that. I'm going to go really fast here, so bear with me. Most training resources that you find online actually have free trial options. They're usually a 30-day or a couple week measure. And don't overanalyze the source of the training or the goal. Just shut up and learn something. Find some and choose your goals wisely so that they can be relatively easily learned, and relatively easily then consumed, and you can then do something with it. You know how best you learn. Some people learn by from a fire hose best. Some people learn best from an eyedropper. Some people just want to sit back and watch it. Some people want to actually do it. You know best. So try some of these things. And if it isn't right, then stop, but only if you've got something else to move on to. So it is really easy, especially if you're used to not having time to train, not having time to learn, so it's not in your wheelhouse. It will be really easy to get discouraged and then say, screw this, and go back to binge watching Netflix. Okay? So keep at it. Basically say, okay, this one didn't work, then we'll try something else. And I just gave you like 3 or 4 examples. There are a ton of things that are available. We didn't even talk about YouTube yet. Okay? Technical training. Technical training, that again is more of the IT professional of one kind or another. Developers, network administrators, help desk assistants, firewall, security, all that kind of fun stuff. Most major vendors, Microsoft, Google, Cisco, have their own training, and often is at nearly free cost. If you go to their sites, you'll find that. And I showed earlier the Office 365. And usually, especially over on the Microsoft side, you can actually set up or download their entire product as a trial version, and you can install. And usually those trial versions last for a good long time. So you can actually go ahead and install or configure your home lab as long as you've got a computer that can do some of this stuff. Some other companies, for example, Sophos, who's one of our clients or one of our vendors on the security side, you can actually set up virtual labs. So you don't even, all you need is an internet connection, and you can set up a firewall and configure it and run through labs and all of that kind of fun. YouTube is your friend and it's your enemy, because in a lot of cases, people will be talking, and when you're talking on the IT side and the technical side, it really is best to learn best practices as presented by the vendor to start with, simply because that way any certifications, anything like that, it's the best way to learn. YouTube, unfortunately, depending upon the channel and depending upon where you get it from, has all sorts of these work, these don't work, this is the best practice according to Ralph, it's the best practice according to whoever, all of that kind of fun stuff. So start with the learning best practice according to the vendors or according to an organization that's well recognized, such as Coppedge. So this is different. Now, remember I talked about an Office 365. Well, with Office 365, if you log on to their portal and you go to the admin portal, you'll actually see what I'm showing here, which is the training there's training for administrators and there's training for the end users. Now, the training for the users, that's the link that I showed earlier. It's the same link. The training for the admin, you have to be logged in with administrative rights in order to get access to that. But those are both great tools for you to use in terms of learning how to administer and how to use these resources. So absolutely take a look at that. Okay. Now, here's some other tools. So CBT Nuggets. CBT Nuggets, they are an online training organization. This is what they do on the IT side. They've got some other resources as well. This costs some. It's $59 a month. But man, do they have training resources. They have a ton of resources for the network administrator, database analyst, Cisco, all that kind of fun stuff, especially if you're looking to really carry on for a while. So if you're looking at from an IT professional standpoint, definitely check these guys out, at least for a week. CompTIA.org, again, like we said earlier, they've got those. This is definitely, if you're looking, especially if you're looking to go for any of CompTIA certifications such as A+, Network Plus, Security Plus, so on and so forth. And then here's some Networking Academy stuff that Cisco has. That's free. And then I can't even begin to tell you, the khanacademy.org, that has so many online courses, and it's all free, available for kids, adults, on the programming side, development side, it's mind-boggling how much stuff they have. Now, in a lot of cases, these guys are pretty much dry, and I'm saying in all these, to a certain degree, these aren't going to be your entertaining types of learning experiences, but boy, there's a lot of value here and a lot of stuff for you to use. So these are just some examples of some of the things that I've found that I think are worthwhile. Again, focus on specific goals, especially if you're the IT professional. All that. Anytime, don't generalize the training topics. In other words, today I'm going to do development, tomorrow I'm going to do SQL, and the day after that I'm going to do Internet of Things, and the day after that I'm going to do firewalls. No, focus on developing and using. Also, hands-on experience. This is true from the individual point as well, is that as soon as you learn something, you start losing it. You start not retaining that information because you're not using it. You have that whole, every time you learn something, the brain, which is a muscle, essentially works out and develops new neural pathways. And anytime you ignore neural pathways over a period of time, they'll atrophy. They'll basically go away. So if you learn something over a period of time and you don't do anything with it, you'll start losing it. So if you've got ways to keep up with it or to add to it slightly, always look to do that. This is especially true if you can set up a home lab or you can set up a virtual lab through the cloud or anything along those lines, because hands-on experience always will come down to there. Build your own lab, whether it be at home or online, and if it's appropriate, get certified. And the reason being is because if you take two people and they both learned exactly the same thing, but one person got certified and the other one didn't, the person, and then you add a third party, and that third party has to judge externally without really knowing either one of them which one's the smarter person just by resume. The one with a cert, there's proof behind it. Now, you may not agree that certified people are smarter than non-certified, and believe me, I know people who can run rings around me, and I've got certifications. It still is better than not having anything. Okay? So give thought to getting certified. Okay? Now we go over to personal development. And this is the one thing. How many times have you basically said, I've always wanted to learn that. I've always thought that'd be cool to know this. Well, now's your chance. Now's your chance. And there's so many things out there. And you always hear about people talking about binge watching. And in binge watching, it's a TV series. It's the latest thing on Netflix. It's a whatever. I'm throwing some channels, some YouTube and otherwise channels out there. So just to go over a couple of these. TheHistoryGuy.net, 10 to 15-minute videos. He puts 2 or 3 out a week, and just on small little snippets of history that are just cool little stories. Makes you appreciate some of the nuanced stuff that happens. TimeGhost.tv. They're doing a really weird thing. Every week they come out with, and they're kind of doing it in sort of real time. They basically give about a 10 to 15-minute rehash of what happened during a week in World War II or prior to World War II, leading up to it and all that. So every week, I think they're halfway through 1941 right now. And it's really interesting. Same thing, Dr. Becky. She is an astrophysicist who essentially puts a post or two up a week about the latest things in astrophysics. PBS Space Time. I'm a heavy science and history. Those are the two that I really like. And also khanacademy.org. Again, a lot of classwork available there. And then there's reading. I'm just throwing some books out there, but there's so many good books out that are about development, about learning things or about improving what you are. And take a look. And if you're not interested in reading, then go with Audible. And I'm just putting a couple of screens up with book titles and the like that I like. And if you want, so we use audible.com, or I use audible.com. This is, you pay a monthly fee, you get a free book every month. You pay for it. So if you want, if you email me at bob@simplex-it.com with the title of an Audible book you want, I'll email you a link. You can get that book and free 1-month membership in Audible. But if you have Amazon Prime, just join it. Join Prime yourself. You'll get 2 free books for your first free month. I don't care if you do any of these. So this is not a sales pitch on my part at all. But and a lot of libraries actually have ways to get Audible or audio books as well. So, but this is there's no excuse not to be reading a lot of stuff. And again, fiction is fine. That's great. That's wonderful. But it's time to learn. Time to develop some skills. Here's another offer. We pointed out the fact that we've got the Bigger Brains. And the Bigger Brains is a subscription service that gives you access to about 140 or so of these hour-long online courses. If you email me, bob@simplex-IT.com, and you just basically say you want this, we'll hook you up with a single account for the training service. You'll have access to it for a month, and we don't need a credit card. We just need your email address, and we won't automatically renew it. We'll basically not renew it. We'll tell you it's expiring, and then it's up to you if you want to renew it or not. But this will give you access to about 140 online courses, like I said, about everything on Office, Teams, G Suite, QuickBooks, time management, project management, leadership skills, all of that kind of fun stuff for you to try out and then walk away from at the end of the month, at the end of 30 days from now or whatever. And then explore. Okay. This is the biggest takeaway for you to do. Now's the time, and actually make the decision that you're going to become smarter. You're going to learn new things. It's mind-boggling to me, how often we have to talk ourselves into doing that. So, sorry I'm going through this so quickly, but again, I want to reiterate, we've got a lot of webinars that are going to be coming up, and we're going to have a lot of content. And all we're looking to do is we're looking to communicate, here are some things you can do, here are some things you can do better, here are some things that you can do to better yourself, share this with other people. The one thing we absolutely ask for is feedback. What other topics can we do? Any reviews of my books on Amazon? Any advice you have for not rebooting your laptop or whatever. And I do want to say that we do have our next topic is going to be 2 days from today, the 26th, and we're going to talk about Microsoft Teams, which is Microsoft's primary collaboration tool. It's included in most Office 365 subscriptions. So if your company uses Office 365, odds are they have Teams. And I just was on a webinar earlier this afternoon, and they were basically, there's a bunch of MSPs like us, and about 40% of them were saying, or 30% of them were saying that their clients weren't using Teams. Well, boy, there is no better time to use it than now, as far as for all the work from home people and all that kind of fun stuff. Then you can see all the other topics. Again, whatever link you used to connect here, along with the phone number, if that was appropriate, you can absolutely use that link for this as well. And that pretty much, I hate to say it, that is pretty much the topic. So, and again, I apologize tremendously for the delay we had here. But I want to reiterate that this is a great opportunity for everybody to do things that you haven't had a chance to do. So, anywho, any questions, any thoughts, any other links that we should be including here? Was this of value to anybody? Cool. All right. Well, again, any feedback we can get would be tremendously appreciated, and we will be sending out the link, and also we'll be sending out a PDF of this presentation. By the way, if anybody is interested in putting on a similar presentation, let us know. We will send out we'll send you the actual PowerPoint, and you're welcome to reuse this stuff. We're looking to help. We're not looking to sell. All right. Thank you, everybody, and have fun.